So, a high point of this investigation, because it's such a direct link between John Wesley and his contemporary, who he's writing about, and their view of Bengel as a premillennialist themselves. Okay, and it was actually edited by John Wesley. I found that this year. I posted it on my Facebook, October 20th, 2024. If you want to look, you can look it up there. This is what I wrote. I said, the best Methodist eschatological find to date, edited by John Wesley himself. Read it and weep neos. If you don't know what I mean by neos, they're neo-Wesleyans who have recently kind of joined a new progressive and not consistent testimony about John Wesley and his teachings that have come out in the last 50 years, and inside of Methodism and the Church of the Nazarene and Wesleyanism at large. And so they're a group that don't want to stay consistent with our original teaching from Wesley, okay? And so that's why they would weep, because this stands against where they're standing today and what they're teaching in the universities. And so I want to make that point clear to you. I'm not unaware that this is confrontational data, that comes against the many people's view today and where they stand. It's definitely not the only view, okay? And we'll go into that in another video as well, but listen to it. I said he records the biography of his friend Vincent Perronet. Vincent Perronet, anybody who studied him, which most scholars today that have studied end times when it comes to early Methodists, say it's a neglected area. They're consistent with that. It's a neglected area of study inside of Wesleyanism. Shouldn't be, okay? And they say it needs to be filled in. But anybody who studied Vincent Perronet will tell you that he was a premillennialist, okay? So Wesley records the biography of his friend Vincent Perronet and includes his friend's premillennial view of the millennium, and more importantly, demonstrates how John Bengel was interpreted as premillennial by both Wesley, the implication is, and by his friend Vincent Perronet. And he and his friend saw imminence of Christ's coming in Bengel's teaching. Okay, so John Wesley was in fact picking Bengel, not as some contradictory teaching to his brother Charles, that knowing Charles was a premillennialist, John wouldn't go against his teaching. And he wasn't going against John Fletcher's teaching, and so John Fletcher wasn't writing him to correct him later or around that same time when he published the New Testament notes. That's according to them today. My study has shown me that that letter was actually written to Wesley later in his ministry in 1770, which is the date that's actually in the works of Fletcher. But Wesley wasn't pushing some point of view that's against all the main leaders of Methodism, early Methodism. He was holding consistent with them, and so he was using Bengel to support the premillennial view, okay? And this is the direct linking evidence. Here is the quote, and below is the pictures of it, so you can look on Facebook to see this. His favorite study, this is of Perronet, was the fulfillment of the prophecies, which would be Revelation and all the old-time prophecies from the Old Testament as well, and the coming of Christ's kingdom upon earth. Okay, so he's very clearly a premillennialist. He literally believed there's going to be a reign of Christ here on earth. He had large and animating views of the millennium, Wesley says. And according to the calculations of the great Bengelius, okay, so there he goes. He puts him as the interpreter of his friend as well, and he puts him as a premillennialist. He believed it would not be many years before the kingdoms of this world would indeed become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ. He used frequently to say to those about him, I shall see these great things out of paradise. You may live to see them upon earth. So he's talking about how it might happen anytime, even before his eyes close in death, all right? Every awful event he heard of, every fresh proof of the power or mercy of God, he considered as signs of the times. That's a premillennialist, okay? As tokens that the coming of the Lord drew near. All right, so this is recorded in what's called the Memoirs of the Reverend Vincent Perronet, A.M., late Vicar of Shoreham. That was between pages 157 and 162. It's in the Methodist magazine, being a continuation of the Arminian magazine, which was edited during Wesley's lifetime. First published by Reverend John Wesley, volume 22, 1799. That's the later date that it was put forward, but it was also during his lifetime. We'll see that. London, and it was published from George Whitfield City Road and sold at the Methodist preaching houses in town and country. It has the date there. It was published 1779. Publisher was J. Fry and Company. The original was from the University of Chicago, digitized April 18, 2016. And then it says the editor was John Wesley. okay, and it says it was originally published in 1778. So that online link associates this piece of evidence with John Wesley's lifetime, 1778, okay? And so you can look at it on my Facebook and you'll see it as a direct link. It's John Wesley talking about his own friend, Vincent Perronet, as a premillennialist, and using Bengel to say that that was their proof that it was going to happen anytime soon and that he was seen as a premillennialist. Thank you.